That song is so good every time.
It's low key a vibe. I'm not gonna lie.
It, it is. Hi, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. We're here. Your local weather is trash.
It sucks. It
It's
sucks so bad.
yeah. It's Sunday. End of the week. Beginning of the week. End of the week. What do you count it as?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a whole theory in itself. I don't know. Your brain wants to believe it's the beginning of the week, so I don't know.
It's weird for me. I feel like it's the end of the week because the work starts on Monday.
Yeah.
But no, I guess it's the end. I start my meal prepping and laundry, and yeah, it's just not fun. How are you?
Well, good. I guess, but if you flip it on its head, you could consider that the beginning of the week because you're getting ready for the rest of your week. You get it?
I get it, but I because I only have Saturdays and Sundays off,
Yeah.
Friday still counts as the end of the week for me. So Saturday is the beginning of the weekend.
Yeah.
Especially if I get mandated and I work till 12, I lose a whole day. Girl math. I lose a whole day. I just know
Exactly.
Sundays are my church days, my laundry days, and my meal prep days.
In your pod days.
Oh, and my pod days.
Wow.
Church, pod, laundry,
Food.
meal prep, repeat. However, church today's at 5. It's the Easter play, which I'm excited about
Oh yeah, Easter's coming up. I
next
forgot
weekend.
about that.
Yep. Oh, I forgot to say repeat. Did I say repeat? Pod,
You did say
church,
repeat.
pod. I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I was sick a couple days this week. I don't know what it was. I was out for the count for 2 days. It was great though because I got to sleep. Like I slept in.
You overwork yourself, so
I did do a lot of
your
doubles.
body's literally telling you like, all right, time to chill, time to stop.
Yeah, I need the shmoney, honey. Um, yeah, I feel like we haven't been on in how long? A week? 2 weeks?
Were we here last week? No. So two
I
weeks.
don't remember.
2 weeks.
Why am I so shiny? Anyways, it's good to be
Yeah.
back. It's always a pleasure to be on with you, Moxie. You look fabulous as always.
Thank you. I took a shower. My
She's a
friend used
whole
to say.
vibe. Oh, are your shower days Sundays?
My best friend used to say that all the time. She complimented us things. I took a bath.
That's awesome. Um, I'm so tired. I feel like I'm still not at 100%, but I'm gonna be
You need
productive
some
today. So
coffee.
we got some
Well,
things to talk about.
what time did you go to bed last night?
You know what's crazy? I took a Benadryl to go to bed early, and I did not pass out till like 12:30.
Did you eat before that?
I had ordered hibachi on Uber Eats.
Did you eat and then you take the? My trick is take the Benny first and then eat.
No, I took the Benny after.
Yeah, that's why it took so long.
It took forever, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
also, I mean, if you ask me what I was doing, I'll tell you exactly what I was doing. It was nothing fun, but I just discovered that YouTube. Oh, she's like her little hand was that an Illuminati she's doing right there?
Low key, she better make us famous if she's doing all that.
Wow, look at her. Does it warm it up well?
I actually haven't used the warmer yet.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because you have to charge it apparently first, and it's like a whole thing. And I don't
Everything's like
have a
USB.
designated area to just have it plugged in at my desk, which
Remind me
that's
later to
the
show
most
you what I
ideal.
have. I have this like
Oh
clamp
yeah.
that goes onto the one of the legs of the desk, and it has 2 USB ports, 2 USB-Cs, and 3
Ooh.
regular. Yeah, it was like 20 bucks on Amazon. But what I
Oh.
was doing last night was on the TV. So first of all, I told you this sometime during the week, but I think everybody should know because I don't think people know, even though they have 300 million followers on this page. But
Mhm.
YouTube has a movie channel page that you knew about that I didn't know about,
Mhm.
where you can watch movies with short ads, which I was okay with that. So
Yeah.
last night I was watching a documentary on Noah's Ark
Mhm.
simultaneously on my phone, trying to figure out what I'm going to do about my sand filter for my pool. So one part of my brain was learning about the ark, and then the other part is like, should I just buy a new filter? Or should I just buy the parts that I need? So the 2025 version of me that wants to save money, I ordered the parts for less than $100 on Amazon to fix my sand filter.
Well, yeah, and the University of YouTube will teach you how to do it too.
100%. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, my sand filter works perfectly fine. I'm just being bougie because I'm getting a new liner. So now I'm just like, oh, I got the new pump last year. Maybe I should get a new sand filter. But no, I'm just gonna buy a couple things to spruce it up. I mean, it does the job. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's what I was doing last night.
Good. Nice. What was my night? I got a new laptop. So
Yay!
I was gaming last night for a little bit, which was fun. I should have been doing homework, but I have till tonight. So I'll finish my homework
Oh
tonight.
my god, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I'm waiting for my new phone to come in. And your girl is set. I haven't bought myself any new tech in like
Mm.
6 years. Like it's been a
I'm
long
so
time.
excited. I remember the feeling of getting a new laptop. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for you. By the way, the one you have is really, really cute.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. It runs my games really, really well. For any of the nerds that are watching, the GPU is like a what is it? It's a I think it's called the GeForce 4060, which is really, really good for gaming. But the only issue is so your computer that you have is like so strong. It's powerful, and that's the reason the size
But
of
it's
it
not
is
cute.
a lot bigger. Mine is compact, so it overheats really fast. So I have to keep it in a cool place while I'm using it because it gets hot because it's compact.
So I have this thing. Um, I'll show you later, but
Hmm.
because I gotta stop touching this computer dust. It keeps moving the camera. But I ended up purchasing when I bought my laptop a USB fan, small one, just to cool
Hmm.
it off if it overheats.
Yeah.
But shout out Jess. I feel like I have to give Jess a shout out every freaking pod. He's the one that guided me in buying a laptop that would do the job. And this laptop has been fantastic. It's not cute like yours, which I would have preferred a cute one. But considering the stuff that we're trying to do as far as like video editing and stuff like that, it has all the things. But shout out Jess. What up?
Shout out, Jess.
Shout out Jess.
He always worries too. He's like, when I told him, I was like, yeah, she thinks my computer's cute. He's like, does she not like hers? Did I recommend the wrong thing? Oh my god. I'm like, no, she likes hers. She just thinks mine is cute. It's okay.
Literally obsessed with my computer. Like I went from having a Dell that was maybe 7 years old that it would take like 30 minutes to turn on.
Yeah.
This thing, it's like it's so fast. And it's called Lenovo, and I've never had a Lenovo. Feel like those are the ones we
Yeah.
use at school or at work.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Let's get into it. We have a lot to talk about, or
Yes.
some interesting things to talk about. I'll
Do
let you
you
take the
want
reign
to
on this.
start with our highs and lows of the past week and a half?
We can. You go first.
Sure. So my high is my new tech that I got. All the new things. We got our new bed came in. All the new
Yay!
things. Um, your girl is debt free, so that's all been. I've been riding that wave. The semester's
Shout
almost
out Dave
over.
Ramsey.
Period. Snowballing these debts out of here. Uh,
Word.
um, but yeah, that's pretty much my
That's good.
high.
I'm
The
proud of you.
low, thank you. The low is it's been a tough week with the little one. He's been sick and he's just starting to get better now, but he's been real like this only happens when he's sick or like a tooth is growing or he's like irritable. He gets real defiant, like he won't listen. He doesn't,
Yeah.
and then I'm just laying there at night, like just laying there, like wondering, where's my best friend go? I don't know who this kid is anymore.
I mean, also in his defense, because that's my homie. He's also about to be 3 years old. So those twos and threes.
I know. I literally, so I've learned, so there are the mommy blogs, like
Mm-hmm.
where everything is perfect, sunshine and rainbows, nothing goes wrong. They're homesteading, everything's perfect, everything's beautiful.
Lies.
So I
Lies.
don't go on the mommy blogs anymore because they make me feel like a bad mom. They make me feel like I'm not doing well
Oh
in life.
no, mom guilt.
Yeah, it's a real thing. So I go on Reddit where all the crazy moms are, where all the realistic moms are. And they're just like, I gotta lock myself in my room for a few minutes after a long day with, staying home. It's like, yeah. So that going back to my love, it's been a tough one when he's sick because he's not himself, and I gotta be extra extra patient with him.
Oh, but he's a
Yeah.
little better.
Oh yeah, a lot better, a lot better. It's so funny because when I get ready for the pod and have my cat ears on and everything, he's like, "Mommy, your kitty cat!" Like he's back to like him kind of.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but the past like 2 weeks he's been. Ugh.
he's literally
You
the
ask him to
cutest
do
kid.
something or you know ask him to sit down, stop getting up when it's time to eat, and he'll just look at you and go, "No." Like, oh.
He's literally the cutest, like the coolest kid ever.
Thank
When
you.
he's being nice.
He's being nice.
So I'm glad that he's better.
Thank
Excited
you.
about your laptop. Obviously, when you called me, I'm like, I knew you were gonna get it. I'm like, it's here.
Yeah.
Um, my high and low. Obviously, my low would probably have been that I was under the weather. It
Mhm.
sucked. Like when I don't feel well, I don't do anything. I'm like literally in bed for 18 hours, and then you get the backache, and you get the I gotta get up to eat, and you gotta force this out. It sucked. Um, my high My high would be that I went and just made the executive decision to get a
Mhm.
new liner for my pool. I don't
Yeah.
need one, but I think it's an original or at least 20 plus years old.
Mhm.
And when you have an in-ground pool and the liner, I don't even know the mechanism around it, but I think that there's like either sand or some type of material that over time it can shift. So I have like a small divot in the bottom of the floor of the pool,
Mhm.
and I'm just so stoked that all that's going to be repaired, going to be fixed. And I got a really good price, so I'm excited that I was just like, you know what,
That's the best part.
that is the best part, because now I know. So I got a brand new pump. I'm getting a brand new liner installed in a few weeks. I'm gonna do a couple upgrades on the filter. Now I know my pool will be good for the next 10, 15 years, and I don't have to
Mhm.
worry about that. So I'm excited about that. That was my high.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So yeah, I that was it. If you want to jump right into
Let's do it.
um the topics, yeah, I'm down.
I say we do it.
Okay, did you want me to start or do you want to start?
Well, I wanted you to start because it was your idea, and I think it was I guess we could talk about what we're going to talk about, because when do you want we have a video that we want to play.
Yeah, so I guess everything kind of falls into the same category that I want to talk about today, because we've been talking a lot about current events and everything going on in the world, which is great, which we should be doing that. But I think talking about the roots of why all of this stuff is important is a big deal too, kind of going back into the history. And a
Mhm.
lot of people don't realize that the way our world is, the way things are being ran, it's all by design. Like the whole system is designed, and I feel like you know that should be a main point in your mind when you're seeing everything going on. It's like, okay, this was kind of designed to happen in this way, right? And I wanted to start talking about kind of the roots of like mind control and the essence of how to steer the herd, I guess, is kind of
It's a good way to
the
put it.
best way to put it. Yeah, and one of the first things that we actually, it's funny because I'm not I felt like I was serious for a second and then I'm giggling, but I'm literally in the shower and and I think I texted you because I'm like, oh my god, do you remember this? And it was about if anybody remembers, it was called different things in different areas of the country, but the GATE program or the Gifted and Talented program, um, where basically in the lower, it starts in the lower education, so like in elementary school,
Yeah.
um, they're kind of testing kids out to see where you are intellectually is what we all thought, I guess. I have different thoughts on that now. I don't think it's just intellect. I think it had to do with a lot of other things. Um, CIA conspiracies. We'll get into that. Um, but the GATE program on the surface level was it was the gifted and talented program where these kids would be kind of tested or their behaviors were analyzed and they were pushed into this group. I believe in some areas you had to have permission. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I remember, and it's so funny because I was watching another podcast and when this started to jog my memory and I kind of fell on the rabbit hole. But let's start off with, do you remember taking a hearing test?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But I will tell you this, because so when she was in the shower texting me, because she was like, I gotta tell her, I think I was at work
Yeah.
and she started texting me about the hearing test. And I didn't remember until you got specific in the text message. I was like, oh my God, I remember. Had you just been like, do you remember that? I would have it blanked out.
Yeah.
And to me, it kind of solidifies your point about what you're talking about because I have very bad memory, super bad memory. My sisters tell me all the time, like, your memory is trash.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm like, no, I don't remember no damn hearing test. And then you're explaining, like, I can show it was like the paragraphs, like, and then they did this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm at work. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, she's right. But I think that's part of what we're gonna talk about. I think it's part of that mind control. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but you can go ahead. Sorry, I just had to share that.
No, no, thank you. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I mean, it's so strange because if you, I don't want to jump the gun because this topic is so exciting to me because it's something that I forgot for such a long time. Um, Lately, this is a really weird thing. And Jess actually does this to me all the time. Where like I'll be thinking about something that it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm about to say it, and he'll snatch the words out of my mouth. We've been doing that to each other since we've met. It's the weirdest thing. And he also remembers taking the hearing test and going through these things as well. And
Oh,
the part that's really really interesting is a lot of people talk about, well, a lot of people that are starting to remember because we all forgot, which is really
yeah.
crazy. Something that we all started to remember was there was this in some cases it was a tablet, like a little pill, and in other cases it was a little pink drink that they would make you drink after the test. And in my mind, if you would have just told me this off the, right off the rip, I'm like, oh, it must have been a hearing test and a vision test, and maybe they're testing our sugar or whatever. But then
Mm,
me and Jess were talking about it, and he's like, wouldn't that be something your doctor would do though? Like, you know how you have the mandatory vaccines to go to school? Wouldn't that
yes.
be a part of the school preparation examination? You know what I mean?
Pause. Hold on, I have a question.
Yes.
Does Jess remember the drink?
Yes.
Oof.
Yes. We all drink that drink.
But he went to a different elementary.
Yes. Hmm.
Got it.
He did.
Ah,
It's
okay.
really weird and something that
I
everybody
don't remember the
remembers
drink.
too. I wonder if you had a well,
It
because
could
if
just be
I'm not
suppressed memory
mistaken,
because I look what it took for me to
it
remember the
could,
hearing test.
yeah, yeah. A lot of people who have went through this have suppressed memories, which is really crazy. And something about you, me, and Jess that I feel like we all have in common, besides us all being water signs, um, I feel like it's interesting that we all are really in tune with our intuition. We are very in tune with
Mm,
like that side of ourselves. Um, it's very weird. So another part of the test that I don't personally remember. I don't know if I got that far in the program or what. But some people recall having to play this guessing game with these cards, and the cards kind of look like tarot cards. Um, and they'll be holding a card and they'll tell the kid, guess what symbol is behind this card, and the kid would have to guess, and these some of these kids would be right. It was almost like a test of intuition because I don't see where that's testing any intellectual capabilities. Um, Another person that came out and was
hmm.
talking about her experience with the program, she actually was recruited. at a young age. Like she knew what career path she was going to go down, because her intuition was so high that she was labeled as a psychic. And I don't know if you know this, but certain branches in our military utilize psychics for like certain operations or like,
to solve crimes, stuff like that too, right?
yes,
Stuff like
yes. Mhm. And this is the part that gets me, that's really freaking interesting, is there is a department, I think they're in the United States. It could be a global thing. I'm not 100% sure. I got to look into it, but it's called the Department of Defensive Education or something like that. Which
mhm.
is like, were we all being subject to probe? Like they're probing to see what kids have this type of, you know, these abilities. Um, and it's funny because, again, to just talk about how me and Jess met really quick, he was the new kid at my school, which, by the way, I
Mhm.
went to the most ratchet ghetto school in the most ratchet ghetto city ever. Okay, it was like bottom of the barrel. We didn't have much going on for us. Like it wasn't like we were this college prep school or anything like that.
Yeah,
And he
inner
was going
city.
to, yeah, he was going to a magnet school. He was going to a really good art school. And his junior year, out of nowhere, he told his mom, he said, "Mom, I'm transferring to Wilby. I'm done with this school. I'm gonna go to Wilby." And even to this day, we don't. He's like, "I don't know. I was called to go to Wilby. I wanted to go to Wilby." His first day at Wilby, we met, and I swear on my kid, I swear I don't know where to put my hand because I remember this day so vividly. It was a junior year. It was in our study hall class, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, I have to connect with this guy. I have to talk to this kid. And we've been friends and more ever since. And it's just the weirdest thing because I've never met anybody in my life that literally reads my mind. It's really freaking weird. I could literally be thinking about him and he'll call me too. It's just we have this really strange, and also we always say it's God, we're so blessed, we're so blessed. But another very strange thing is ever since we got together, our lives have kind of been on the up and up. Like we've had nothing but luck being together. It's the strangest thing. A lot of situations that we would go through where it's like I would have crumbled before. I would have been like, this is it. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. We would always find a way. Or if like we needed money or a resource or something, like if something was tough, we always randomly had a way, or we would always come to the answer would come to us. It's the weirdest thing.
And that is what we call, my friends, a healthy relationship.
I just
There's a lot of
think,
things that you're saying that I'm like, man, I don't remember, but what if? I remember being part of the gifted program. I was probably in the 4th grade, 3rd grade.
mm,
And there's so much that I don't remember, but I'm wondering if
yeah,
it's something selective because some of the things that I do remember were the things that I enjoyed. Like I remember they made us create an airplane. Like we had to put together airplanes and test like whose is gonna like land not upside down, who's the furthest, the fastest. And that interests me so much. I thought that was so
somebody else
cool.
mentioned that too. That's really weird. Somebody online
No,
mentioned they had the same activity. Yeah,
no.
that's really freaking weird. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I remembered that one specifically because it's one that I enjoyed.
Hmm.
I remember being outside a lot
Well, your
on the
connection to it.
grass,
Well, I mean,
touching leaves, but there's so much that I don't remember.
yeah,
Um, it just makes me like, if you would have never brought this up to me, I never would have thought about it again, like just over my head. But
yeah.
then when we start talking about MK Ultra and
Hmm.
how it was literally used by our military, why wouldn't they have tried that on younger kids who are more vulnerable, on little humans who are vulnerable? If you can do it to an adult, you can absolutely do it to a child.
And they say children are, as a child, our veil is the thinnest. So
Mm,
we haven't succumbed to all the pressures of society, the brainwashing, the toxic food, the toxic waste, the toxic environment that kind of like closes our third eye, so to say. So
yeah, it
when
clogs
you're
it up.
that young, yeah, that's the time to try to find that intuition. There's a lot of, this is weird, kind of off topic. There's a lot of little kids that like they'll tell their parent like they woke up from a dream or whatever and they remember their past life. Like they
Oh yeah, I've
totally,
seen that.
that's, it's the freakiest thing. Or they'll totally tell the story of a relative that passed away that they've never met. It's
Describe them to the T, right?
to the T. Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, and I think that's a big reason why they started at such a young age. You know what I mean? The And another thing that's interesting too, the GATE program. Um, the guy who kind of implemented this in the education system,
Mm-hmm.
he, if I'm not mistaken, and if I am, I will correct myself in the comments. But he created the gateway tapes. Have you heard of the gateway tapes?
Mm-mm.
So that Jess has heard of this too, which is because he was into the whole spirituality thing for a little bit at one point. But the gateway tapes kind of teach you how to like astral project, how to lucid dream, how to tap into that other side of
Mm.
reality. So it's interesting. The gateway tapes, the gate program, same guy. It kind of connects the thread a little bit more about trying to find kids with intuition.
There's so much to go down this rabbit hole. I'm actually look. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm looking down up
Yeah,
the Department of Defense education. Um,
I think it's also there's another word at the end of it, like initiative or activity or something
yeah,
like
it
that.
just it's what it seems to be. It's that I'll just read a quick sentence. Shortly after the end of the World War II, the United States military established schools for the children of its servicemen and women stationed in Europe and the Pacific. Schools for children of military members stationed at various bases in the United States were already well established. So they're like military brats. Well, not brats, but
Yeah,
but we'll
yeah.
look into that more.
Hmm.
I can't wait to watch this video.
Oh, that goes into, so the gate program is one thing. I think that's just kind of, one of the many different roads you can go down
Many.
when we talk about mind control and MK Ultra, which people say that I've never watched it, but people say that Stranger Things is heavily based on this whole gate program thing, where they're looking for kids with spiritual gifts. I've never watched it.
So would you believe me if I was gonna say earlier, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna bring it up. When we were talking about the program that I was about to tell you, I was about to ask you, doesn't it give you like 11 vibes? And if you don't know,
Okay.
if you never watched the show, then you don't know that the main character, the main girl, her name, they go by numbers. Her name is
Mm.
11, who is a part of this program. You have to watch it now.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
actually really
literally am
good.
so interested now.
It's really good because one of my favorite parts of it too is that it takes place like in the 80s, so it's very like vintagey and like like
Okay.
kind of like my childhood.
Yeah.
But it's based on a gifted program and a kid named 11 who escaped, and like
Oh my God.
she calls like her, like the person that's in charge, like Papa, and she has these abilities to do things and to like has power essentially.
Yeah.
um but when you were talking about it, I'm like, oh my god, it's totally giving me Stranger Things like 11 vibes. So I think
Yeah.
you may actually enjoy it.
I'm gonna watch it. I have so many things to watch. Handmaid's Tale
It's so
just
good though.
came out, but I have to watch that. Yeah, It's interesting because like one of a friend that I don't really talk to like that anymore was like, "You've never watched Stranger Things? Like you live under a rock?" I'm like, I guess. Like I don't know. It never was something that piqued my interest. Granted, I never looked into it. Like I never really knew what it was about until I started, you know, people were like, "Oh my god, this is like Stranger Things," and I'm like, "Is it?"
I
I
think you
thought
would
it was
I would think you would
I thought it
genuinely
was
enjoy
about
it.
ghosts.
No, it's like it's the supernatural, but what a kid can the powers that a kid has that was
Yeah.
kind of like recruited into
Yeah.
this program. And you
Okay.
know what they say? How do you hide the truth?
In the
In plain
media.
sight.
Right. Yeah.
So of course they're gonna put it in a Netflix series. Why
Oh, of
wouldn't they?
course. Yeah. 100%. Um. But yeah, this is mind control. Yes. Very good segue into the next part. I hope we don't have any issues uploading this video if we're playing someone else's content, but I've seen other people react to their channel, so I don't think we should have an
Yeah, I
issue.
think we'll be fine. Plus, subscriber numbers are a little low, but we'll get there soon.
True. Well, shout out to Mind Unveiled. This channel is so good. They go deep into the history. They find things that I've never even seen before. So if you guys are interested in other conspiracies and I don't even like saying conspiracies because they back it up with so much fact. Um, or other parts of history, kind of mixed in with like spirituality and other spiritual like practices, alchemy and things like that. It's a really, really good channel. Highly, highly
I'm
recommend.
glad. I'm definitely gonna subscribe because I wasn't subscribing. And I'm all about a conspiracy. Like I'm call me the conspiracy girl because I get shit talked to me all the time about oh you're a conspiracy theorist. I probably wear that hat. Yes, I told you one of our first episodes we should have an episode with our tinfoil
Old
hats
hat.
because I'm all about it. I think we have a pretty good record with our conspiracies. Just saying. And
Period.
yeah, no, I'm excited to watch this. I was gonna mention something, but I it just over my head.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
no. It was I'm just excited to watch this. And oh, I just remembered
Yes.
because you were talking about conspiracies. Have you ever heard of the Mountain Dew conspiracy?
Mountain Dew like the soda?
Yeah, the soda, the
No.
Pepsi owned brand.
No. What is it about the? Is it about the sperm count?
No. It's pretty much it's about there's a theory, a conspiracy that Mountain Dew comes out with a new limited edition flavor right before a catastrophe happens.
Ooh.
And I first saw it on shout out to this podcast because they're funny as how ninjas are butterflies. That's the name of the podcast. It's
I
like
love
three
that.
guys and a girl. They're funny as shit. It's pretty cool. So I saw it first there and I haven't dug into it, but it talks about like they came out with a flavor right before the Maui fires and it was like a red whatever. Then they came out with one
Oh my God.
on July 4th and it was like the American flag. It was I don't remember what the American flag one was, but there's so many conspiracies on various different flavors that I'm like, this could be fun. This could be fun. But
That's
anyways,
so
that's for another day.
crazy.
Yeah, that's for
Oh.
another day. We'll do our research on that. But I'm ready to watch this video.
Yes, whenever you're ready, I
Let's
am
get into
ready.
it. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a little bit of a long one, so if you guys don't want to watch it, that's fine. But you're gonna not understand a lot of our commentary after the fact.
All right, let's do it. Do you want us on the screen or just a move or just a video?
You can take us off. I'm gonna drink my coffee.
Okay, awesome. Here we go. Just let me know if the volume's
I'm
on.
gonna go ahead and say it. Anyone with a top hat is a Mason. Well, at least when it comes to the early 1900s. I don't trust any of these people with top hats. But what is a top hat? And why was every single person during this era wearing the same exact outfit? It's something we never really questioned, but when you look into many of these old photos, everyone is wearing the same thing, especially all of these corporate hats, robber barons. They wouldn't leave their house without a top hat. But what is a top hat, and when did this all begin? When it comes to top hats, we're typically speaking of a high hat, cylinder hat, or topper, which is traditionally associated with formal wear in the West that came to rise during the end of the 18th century. On December 1st, 1941, the United States Public Health Service banned the use of mercury in the felt industry. We can trace the felt hat industry back to mid 17th century France, and it most likely was introduced into England around 1830. Since its beginning, Mercury was used in the process of the creation of these hats. At first, turkey camel hair was used for the felt material, and it was discovered that the process would be sped up if the fibers were moistened with camel urine. It is said that in France, the workmen would use their own urine to make these hats. One workman's urine worked the best for these felt hats, and everyone was so curious as to why this man's pee was so good at making felt hats.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do. Day 1, he would install Pi on his computer without spending a
Well, this is the story that they
Sorry
tell
about
us,
that.
that this worker had been
No
treated for
problem.
syphilis, and back in the day, they would just shoot up mercury to heal it, I guess, so that's how they tell the story. And this guy had mercury in his system. He was pissing on the fiber so that it would make better felt. And because the mercury was in his urine, they realized that it was the mercury that was responsible for creating these superior felt hats. This is the supposed reason that they started putting mercury in hats for more quality hats. Well, that seems awfully strange because they were well aware of the effects of mercury poisoning as they've been using it for medicine and alchemy for thousands of years. But the thing is, mercury poisoning would cause dementia and Mad Hatter disease, which could be characterized as delirium, hallucinations, and even suicidal tendencies. With severe cases, this would produce tremors throughout different parts of the body, including the mouth and tongue, making it difficult to speak properly. Those are in overexposure cases. With just the right amount, these effects can be more mild and last for years without anyone noticing, producing effects such as fatigue, loss of memory, vivid dreams, and depression. So, what is Mad Hatter disease? Exposure to mercury, even low levels for periods of time, can cause health problems in humans. Prolonged exposure can lead to chronic mercury poisoning. This may be called Mad Hatter disease or Mad Hatter syndrome. Mad Hatter disease causes severe neurological effects known as erethism. It can lead to symptoms like headaches, behavioral changes, and weakness. Then, during the 18th to 20th centuries, hat makers would use mercuric nitrate to stiffen felt for these hats. These hats would produce vapors in which those who wore them would not only absorb via their scalp, but would inhale in poorly ventilated areas. Over time, these hatters began having symptoms, including psychosis, excitability, and tremors throughout the body. It was so common that this is literally where the phrase, mad as a hatter, comes from. Think about the long lasting effects this would have, especially if the populace were not aware and it was promoted as the new fashion. I mean, everyone was wearing these back in the day. You were a nobody if you didn't have one. So, was there a purpose behind this? We all know of the crazy Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, but why does he act so crazy? During Lewis Carroll's time, mercury was being used in the process of creating top hats, and the Hatter is complete with all the characteristics of the disease: erratic, flamboyant, and silly behavior, along with mood swings being the most obvious symptoms of mercury poisoning. Why would Lewis Carroll add this top hat reference? Is there a deeper truth to this Mad Hatter character? Which, interestingly, in the newer films is presented more like a clown with red hair or some type of demon, Nephilim, which is also interesting because people claim to be visited by spirits of a similar nature. They call them Mad Hatter demons. They are demonic entities that have white faces and wear the top hat. You can find these symbols all over the place, even in games. But where does this phenomenon originate? It's obviously a huge part of our psyche, but why? They're just top hats. Is it more than just a fashion statement? Or does it possibly represent a much darker truth? The Lewis character may have been one of the earliest characters of a Mad Hatter, but there are references from the 17th century in which a man, Robert Crabbe, who was an eccentric living in Chesham, England, gave all his good to the poor and lived on dock leaves and grass. However, Carroll may have based his Mad Hatter character on a Theophilus Cater, not a hatter, but a furniture dealer who was known locally as the Mad Hatter, partly because he always wore a top hat, was eccentric, and produced wacky inventions. This phrase, from its origin, was used to describe those who were crazy and prone to unpredictable behavior. Most employees would staff a variety of ailments called the Hatter Shakes, which were speech problems, emotional instability, and hallucinations. The top hat's origins go far before Alice in Wonderland, as these were most likely inspired by captains, which is a tall crowned hat from the late 1500s in northwestern Europe worn by elites and their orphans. This is also known as the pilgrim hat. Why is it that all these pilgrims had top hats? It is said that they never really had a buckle on them, and even if they did, the buckle really didn't do anything. It's most likely a symbol or a reference. They actually didn't wear any buckles at all. So, why is that in all these cartoons and depictions of pilgrims? Are they wearing a buckle? Perhaps it's a secret gesture? So, these early capitaines inspired the crowned dark felt hats with wide brims that bursted in popularity during the leisure wear fashion during the 1770s age of revolution. In the 1780s, there came the justaucorps, which were what the royal elite wore and the origin of the three-piece suit, or what we call a business suit. These were then made for the capitans, or captains, who would wear these capotaines, which had many designs, but were most likely still using mercury for the stiffening process. There are the tricorn and bicorn hats, which were worn by many generals and top leading officials during the Napoleonic period. By the 1790s, this elite dress wear was turned into fashion city wear for the upper and middle classes throughout the entire Western world. This was not some accident of culture in which these styles emerged from pure creativity. No, it was a purposeful design, a uniform, and this uniform was to serve a specific purpose. There were some variations. Around the 19th century, there were beaver hats, then black and gray silk. Think about this compared to other cultures that were so colorful, vibrant, and creative with their fashion. There's a reason we get these dull colors, straight edges, box style fashion. It produces a certain culture, a specific type of consciousness. The dress coats were replaced by frock coats in the 1840s to become the conventional former outfit, and they would wear it on a daily basis. The top hats would be combined with a frock coat and white tie. This would be their identity, their representation, and anyone who did not conform was not a part of the club. You guys remember that episode of The Fairly Odd Parents where everyone was a gray blob? Well, it seems that's really what it was like back then. You may think it's a joke, but literally everyone was wearing these. Danbury, Connecticut has always been known as the Hat City. It was the hat making capital of the world until the 19th century. At the peak of the industry, 5 million hats a year were produced in 56 different factories in Danbury. Why were they producing so many hats? These hats were literally causing the conditions known as the Danbury Shakes, which turned the populace into mad hatters. It is even said that this resembled drunkenness and that employers would exploit this condition. Now, this is just insane. The seal of the city of Dansbury during this period was literally a phoenix being burned within a crown, and on the shield we have a top hat, the ruins of a chimney, and a red banner that reads Restituimus in Latin, which means to restore or replace. Why would they be putting these top hats on a coat of arms or a city seal with a burning phoenix? Also, strangely, researchers have suggested that Boston Corbett, the man who killed John Wilkes Booth, President Abraham Lincoln's assassin, might have suffered from poor health due to mercury poisoning. He apparently castrated himself as well with a pair of scissors. So wait, they weren't smart enough to notice that these hats were causing literal insanity, yet they were making them for several centuries? They didn't stop using mercury in hats until 1941, and it's been that way since the 17th century. They knew it was dangerous business, but that would mean that they did this on purpose. Think about it. We all know of the old world asylums. What if there's something more to this story of these top hats? Were the governments at this time knowingly drugging the populace slowly to cause delirium? This in turn would allow people to be more malleable, to stop people from asking too many questions, even give the government a valid excuse to imprison people in these asylums. But more so, it would allow lower level masons, the inventors, businessmen, and other contributors to society to be more easily controlled. Perhaps a way to control the influencers of that age. Furthermore, hats are deeply rooted in the art of secret gestures, or the means in which one can secretly signal that they are part of a hidden group or society. This is the history of the Phrygian caps, also the red hats that are visible in Renaissance art. These were not only used to signify someone's allegiance, but also a means in which minds could be controlled. If you wore the top hat, you were a part of Masonic society. You were a respectable man of industry. Yet, perhaps this explains why much of the populace did not question the directive of their higher-ups, including the history that they were given. This would turn the entire city or country into an insane asylum on a larger scale, an innovative idea for creating compliance without the populace even realizing it. Think about how this is transferred into the modern day. Sure, it's not done through hats anymore. I mean, it could be, but more so through the sky, our water supply, our food, and even what we watch on the television. It's all a means to make us so insane that we cannot see the insanity of the world we live in. Of course, they present this history with cases that highlight mercury poisoning and insanity to its extreme forms, but it's not typically brought up what were the underlying subtle effects from these top hats on the population as a whole. In many old photos and engravings, you find that almost everyone was wearing these top hats. So, are there symptoms that were not as obvious as the ones that are typically represented as Mad Hatters, as with Alice in Wonderland? Perhaps it wasn't always such extreme measures, but instead, it was a slow process of being medicated. Not everyone reacted the same way either, and not everyone went completely insane. However, it is possible that this may have had an effect on one's thinking and their ability to question the established narrative. So, yeah, I don't trust anyone with a top hat, especially if we look back in history. These were the Masons that came in and repopulated many of these cities. This was part of their uniform, not the top royal level, but big players for sure. And it was a means in which they would be able to be more malleable and controlled by their new societal norms of rising industry and production. Am I just mad as a hatter? Or is there perhaps something more to this story of the top hats? Well, it gets even more interesting. So the question is, did the elite or top authorities of the time know of the neurotoxic effects of mercury? Because if so, then that would mean there was a purpose other than fashion behind these uniforms or fashionable top hats. Well, mercury causes Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, and depression. If people were going mad just because of working conditions and the products they used, then why would they be administering mercury based medicines since the 1700s? Well, the blue mass was a blue pill, which was a very common remedy for several illnesses such as syphilis, tuberculosis, constipation, parasites, and even as a pain medicine. Now, obviously, this is the story of how they did it back then. Literally, they would stick a syringe in their urethra and inject mercury. No joke, that's what the pirates like Blackbeard did. Even a cluster pump to deliver medical mercury enemas for quicker absorption. The story is that they just didn't know they were poisoning themselves. Because keep in mind, the blue mass pill has a lot of mercury. Apparently, a typical daily dose of 2 pills would be 100 times the modern daily limit set by the Environmental Protection Agency in the US. So, if they were taking this basically for any illness, as a one cure all method, which mercury is a antiparasitic, antiseptic, and has several other healing properties, being used for over 3,000 years, but when given on a daily basis, or perhaps as some type of soma, or remedy for any sickness. But then you can imagine as they started to fill up these repopulated cities with poor and filthy habits, such as emptying chamber pots into the streets and no solid waste management, that over time, they would need to use this type of method of healing constantly and on a daily basis. At some point, the elite would have noticed the mental side effects and the long term effects of heavy metal toxicity. So, then these pills would be used as a matrix drug, a way to keep people from thinking too much, a way of forgetting about higher realms and being locked into material reality, while at the same time dumbing our intelligence and ability to be curious of the realm we live in. We know these pills were used in London. The Edinburgh New Dispensatory, 1789, instructs the making as follows: Pilula ex hydrogyro, London, quicksilver pills. Take a purified quicksilver, extract of licorice, having the consistence of honey of each 2 drams, licorice, finely powdered, 1 dram. Rub the quicksilver with this extract of licorice until the globules disappear. Then, add the licorice powder. Mix them together. End of instructions. So this seems to have been a very popular pill. Oh, and Abraham Lincoln even took these blue mass pills for treatment of chronic melancholia. It was reported that during this time, Lincoln experienced neurological symptoms, insomnia, tremor, and rage attacks, which suggests that he was suffering from mercury poisoning. He then realized something was up with these blue pills a few months after his inauguration and stopped taking them, and his symptoms disappeared, replaced by the patience that would mark his presidency, or at least that's what they say. Okay, or maybe it was time for him to wake up from the Matrix to implement a greater plan. Apparently, Lincoln was taking a dose of mercury on a daily basis that was 9,000 times over the safety standard of today. Also, Blue Mass, which is the name of the pill, is a Roman Catholic Mass celebrated in the United States since the 1930s. So, is this some type of mass religious mental software that needs to be controlled through the subtle medication of the populace through a perceived miracle medicine said to cure all? Or was it doing the opposite? And if they knew of the effects of mercury poisoning, then why would you continue to use this method in the making of top hats, knowing full well that there were health concerns? Was this a procedure in which the masses were given uniforms and secretly drugged at the same time? Not only that, but all who took the pill were a part of the club, the culture, for this was the new norm. If you didn't have a top hat or take your medicine, there was something severely wrong with you. You're the weird one for not taking your meds. Where have we heard that before? It's not like this was never thought of in the past. Well, like I said, I don't trust anyone with a top hat, and you shouldn't either. Otherwise, you'll become a part of the mass or masses. You may go insane, and you may be unknowingly a part of a higher occult system. Stay weird, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Why was everyone constantly wearing these suits as uniforms? Even on the beach? When hiking? It was almost as if they had no other clothes, which is very strange. Grooming everyone to become a professional, a businessman, an elite, a groomed influencer, controller. Anyways, I'm gonna say no to the blue pill, and so should you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and all we can hope is that our minds may be unveiled.
Let go of everything you think to be true. Relax the
Oh, are you muted?
I should have left it muted. I was coughing. Welcome back.
Hi. What were your thoughts?
The MAGA hat threw me off my chair.
I mean, it's so true though. I mean, think about even in sports, right? You're declaring kind of like your allegiance to this group when
Your
you're walking
alliance,
around.
yeah.
Yeah.
I literally Googled, is mercury still used in hat making today?
Right? Is it? Did you find out?
It's not.
It's
It
not. Okay.
became I gotta dig deeper.
Yeah. It's
The
in.
Freemasons and the Masonry, not
Yeah.
Masonry, but the Freemasons that created, right, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, well, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
The two-party system,
Mhm.
I think that shit is very well much alive.
Oh yeah, I agree, and it's interesting. Something else that they talk about on that channel is if you look at the map of the country, which by the way, another thing we don't think about are who are the descendants of people who have founded states, and why do we not know their names, and why, who are they? Because they're very much, well, they're alive, and I'm sure that they're running shit in the states that they live in. But that's besides the point. If you look at different states within the country, there are a lot of towns and cities called Mason Town, Masonville. And something that the this channel kind of alludes to is that the history that we know, where you know that the pilgrims are coming over here looking for to get away from the the authoritarian stuff that was going on over there.
Mhm.
But what if that's supposed to be a sob story? What if it was Masons that came here and they just wanted to start their own thing, you know?
Jeez.
Yeah,
What
it's
if?
so
I
crazy.
mean, I think history has been revised and has been told so many different ways and different versions that somewhere I would love to go to the Congress library. What is it?
The
The Library of
Library of
Congress?
Congress. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Just to actually get my hands on tangible
Evidence.
documents, evidence
Yeah.
rather, yeah, of this country's history. Because I remember I heard someone say one time, "How do you know where you're going if you don't know where you came from?"
Period.
And I'm like, oh, well, it's
if
valid.
you've been if you've been kind of like a perfect example of that is like the public school system. When you put it side by side with how the prison system looks, it's like,
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? If you don't see,
institutionalized at a very young age, normalizing
yes,
being institutionalized. Yeah, for sure.
and if
They
you
have
look at,
lunch
it's
at the
so
same
funny.
time. They have to sit
Yes,
and walk the same. Yeah, uniform.
yep,
Uniformed everything pretty much.
everything. Yeah, and speaking of uniforms, something that they were mentioning in this video we watched was how um the whole thing with the three-piece suit, like if you didn't wear one, you weren't a part of the game, you weren't. And it's very much in our culture now, and
Like
it looks
Jordans.
sexy, it looks sleek, it looks, it looks like you have this presence, but we never really questioned where did that come from. And that could just be the ultimate level of like, trying to create these professionals, because at the end of the day, that's money in these people's pockets,
Well,
you know.
I think it, yeah, no, for sure. I think that it encompasses a lot too, meaning like certain communities and certain people of stature or
Mhm.
hierarchy
Yeah.
represent their allegiance or their alliance. And the reason I said Jordans is because if you're a kid in school and you have the newest pair of Jordans that come out, it's literally 13 different pairs that they
Yeah.
just keep changing the color of. It's like almost like it's like a cult almost. And if you're
Yeah,
the kid that doesn't
13
have,
different pairs is wild. The
at
number
least, yeah,
13.
at least growing up, right? At least growing up, if you didn't have Jordans, you weren't cool.
Oh
And the
yeah,
kids would
in
make fun
my
of you. I think
yeah,
it's a little different now because now the New Balances came back.
yeah,
I don't know, but you have this like acceptance if your family can afford the Jordans. So now
mhm,
you're part of like, oh, you're cool. Like, oh, you got the 13s, you got the fours. And that's
yes,
more primarily in a community of the inner city communities or the poor communities
yeah,
or the project kids. I was a project kid.
mhm,
But you always had new Jordans.
mhm,
And then you talk about the three-piece suits, people with money. If you have the top of the line, then you're kind of like a part of the in crowd. I think it's all
mhm,
part of a design of institutional institutionalizing people, but not in an actual physical way. As far as like you have to be in school or building or jail, but meaning like if you're from this certain area, this is how you're expected to dress, this is how you're expected to talk. This is what you're not cool if you don't have the Jordans. You're not cool if you don't have this. But every community has that, and it's
yeah,
always like reaching for more for the families that can't afford the Jordans. You got parents who are like working extra jobs or buying the bootleg ones. I remember being a kid and like having the bootleg Jordans and stuff like that just so you can fit in. It's that acceptance.
yeah.
And it creates these little communities within a community.
Or would you say herds? Again, a herd.
Sure.
the herd
Absolutely.
mentality, it's
Yeah,
somebody is steering the herd, and we don't this is just how the human mind is. We want to fit in, we don't want to be left
different.
out. Yeah, it's very interesting because we never really sit and wonder, where does that come from within us? You know what I mean? Especially if you look back in our history before, like, the civilized man, for example. Like, I mean, you had your villages, you had your small groups, and everybody kind of took care of each other, but everybody was doing something different. So it's like, what part of our history? I mean, I guess that also comes into the natural reflex of being within a group. Our primitive thing of,
Mm.
like, being in a pack. So I don't know, it's very interesting. I mean, the people who have created this country and our social norms, I think they took all of that into account and capitalized on it 100%, you
And these
know?
guys were so young too. They weren't like grown
Yeah.
ass 50, 60, 70-year-old men. They were
Yeah.
20, 30s, like really, really young guys just saying, hey, we found this is what we're gonna do. And
But remember who those people are. Candace Owens actually said this. These are people that can trace back their lineage to biblical times. So it's not like they came up with this on their own. They were literally curated to think like this from
yeah,
a young age, you
shout out
know?
Candace.
Yeah, that was a good video of her segment video documentary. I don't even know what to call it. It was good.
Yeah,
Um yeah,
that's
it's
really
crazy.
interesting. It makes me want to go watch more stuff, like more things on this channel.
It's really good. You got to watch the politics one next. That one blew my mind.
Well, yeah, especially like something so silly, right? As a hat, like the MAGA hat, which wasn't made with mercury, right? But what it
Yeah.
represented back in 2015, 2016, when it's you still get like people will talk junk to you if you have a MAGA hat, but it's not to the
Mhm.
capacity of like 2015, 2016, 2017. And that symbolized your allegiance to a president that many people hate or
Mhm.
can't stand or respect, whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Mhm.
And that created so much tension and divide that if a person was walking down the street with that hat on, people were scoffing at, will scoff at you or, call you a racist or a bigot. Um,
Yeah.
which is that herd mentality too, because you have people that supported this candidate who don't really feed into the MAGA just crazy. Like some people idolize this man. I think
Yeah.
most people don't, but some people do. But a lot
Mhm.
of times, if you have that hat on, they automatically think that you're idolizing the man and not the movement. And it's just the
Yeah.
power of the hat. It's like a
Yeah.
sheep, like the herd of sheep just following the
Mhm.
crowd. But it's pretty. I mean, not ironic, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to kind of like what they said in the video. A lot of agencies, groups, movements, they use the hat to kind of like signify what they're a part of.
Yeah.
I could see that very well. I mean, there are other articles, a t-shirt, I'm sure there's people walking around with like a pride t-shirt, and you already know what they're about
Hmm.
there, or but it's interesting when you do think about the hat. It's like
Yeah.
it it
Especially the
it,
mercury
sig-
use.
it signifies so many things. Like, if you something that you don't see much over here compared to, like, down in the south, is people wearing cowboy hats. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, that means, like, you're part of that culture. Like, that's
Yep.
it's interesting to think about. Also, something I thought was interesting, I don't know if you noticed, on the Mad Hatter, he had a 10-6.
Yes.
So that actually means 10 shillings and a sixpence, which was the cost of a hat back then.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
don't even
the
what would
price
that
tag, again, going back to the Jordans, you're flexing how much your shoes are, because everybody kind of already knows that your shoes are
Well,
expensive.
it's funny that you say that because I remember being a kid and every time you wore a fitted, like I would wear a Yankee fitted to match my sneakers or whatever the case was. we left the price tags on the bottom of it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know if it was just to I don't know why I did it. I just know that everybody else did it.
Everybody else did it. That's why you did it.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was like
Yeah.
part of like you're supposed to wear it like that. But now I'm thinking
Yeah.
it's like, oh, is this to let people know that the hat is real? Is it to let people know that I paid 30 it used to be $34.99 for what is it? Is it First Era? I don't remember the brand.
Hmm.
But it was yeah, we would have the sticker like idiots with the price tag on it.
They've been doing that since back in the day.
That is so funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting to talk about like the climate that the world is in now. I still stand by what I think with like I think a lot of people started to become aware of things because we're in the age of information. Like we have this at our
Mhm.
freaking fingertips. And I
Right.
think the powers that be prepared for this. So they're preparing to give us leaders that people who are free thinkers will vote for or who would follow, because the old way is just not working anymore. The fear tactics are not working anymore. So I think these people are 20 steps ahead. So they know who to place at what time and where. Because if you look at the
And
design of things, nothing's changed. Nothing's
I was just oh,
changed.
you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say society really hasn't changed. What
Mm-mm.
I'm watching now is just an old vintage first is it, I want to say it's First Era. I don't remember the name brand, but like, I know the other one was 47 brand. I'm watching 47 brand and Jordans. Like nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think about it and it's like these candidates were presented in front of us in real time, in real life, but they have been selected years before.
QAnon used to
Like
say that all the time.
Barry
Q.
Soltoro. Shout out
Yeah.
Q. You
Q
know?
used to say, is it president select or president elect? And I'm like,
It's
yeah.
valid. I don't know.
I think that it's just a big chessboard. And you know, it's funny. The Boondocks, I love the show. You got to watch it because there's so much. It's hilarious. It's so funny. And they talk about a lot of things that we would relate to from where we grew up.
Mhm.
But they throw a lot of truth in there. Like I remember the episode about I think it might have been like the first episode, but there was an episode about R. Kelly going to court. And this came out in 2004, this episode. And it was talking about how stupid the masses are. Like the people that were in the court, the judge, they're all like, yeah, but he's R. Kelly, like the music's good and we love his music, so he's not guilty. You know? And there's an episode. This is my favorite episode. It's the dodgeball episode
Mhm.
where there's like this legendary game of dodgeball between America and China. And the guy who owns the entire town, his name is what's his name? What Wexner? No, not Wexner. That's the guy from Victoria's Secret. I forget his name.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's something like that, but he represents like the Rothschilds, like the elite family. It's like he has Rothschild, I think, in his name or something as well. But him and the guy who the Chinese, the owner of the Chinese dodgeball team, everybody's going crazy about this game. Like it's so high stakes. Like, oh my God, if America loses, we're gonna be on the bottom. If China loses, China's gonna be at the bottom. And the Chinese guy and the American guy, the leaders are like best friends. Like they're cool with each other.
That's crazy. I'm trying to actually look for it.
It's so
Um,
good. It's so good.
can I play a few like of just a few minutes of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Asking me, I love the Boondocks. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if the I don't think the volume's gonna be on, so just bear with me.
Mhm.
I'm actually intrigued on the is it dodgeball or kickball?
Oh, it's kickball. It's kickball. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Because I'm
Sorry,
like, this is crazy.
but
I've
it
actually never watched the
represents.
Boondocks.
Oh, you would love it. You have to. So good.
Let's see.
I am the visual,
Can
the
you hear?
inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun, the inner glow that let you know to call your brother son. The story that just begun, the promise of what's to come.
They paid off the rep. And oh, you guys were losing bad. It was a blowout.
They were calling him the Tiger Woods of kickball before the wife cheating thing. Now they just call him loser.
Huey, you suck! You suck! Then the crowd started laughing at you, and we all know you don't like to be laughed at.
Is this it? Okay.
And you snapped. You went crazy.
Freeman has hit her with the pitch. Oh, the horror. And believe me, folks, this was no accident. He meant to do that. If that girl is still alive, she will undoubtedly have a permanent and severe limp. One thing is certain, she will never play kickball again. And neither should Huey Freeman.
Well, too bad. Ed wants to own everything, including the bank that owns this house. He just got $20 billion in bailout money, and I'm trying to be his best friend. If Ed wants to tell me to jump, I'm going to say how high and throw your ass in the air.
I'm not gonna play.
Okay, fine. If you don't want to play, you don't want to play. Ed, here he is as promised. Now get over here, boy.
Good job, Robert. I'll remember this when I do my Christmas yacht shopping.
Yeah, boy.
Now, Huey, the Wushuang Woodcrest Junior Senior Harmonious Kickball Tournament is the greatest kickball competition in the history of the sport. 129 years ago, my great-great-grandpa, Prescott Rothschild Onceler, sailed to Wushuang, China. The local monks had invented a game similar to baseball, except it involved a red rubber ball and a lot of kicking. He originally called it Jap baseball because he didn't know what country he was in and didn't care. He brought the sport back to America with a liberal PC bitchasses renamed it kickball. Today, in the spirit of harmony between our two cities, we alternate hosting a kickball tournament known as the Wushuang Woodcrest Junior Senior Harmonious Kickball Tournament.
There's no way I'm playing. Because of you, I gave a girl a permanent severe limp.
Oh, really? This little girl? That's right, Huey. Jennifer can walk just fine. Hit it, Jimmy. You were dominating the entire Woodcrest Junior League, and I couldn't have that. I made up the story about Jennifer's permanent limp, correctly assuming the emotional trauma of the event would make you quit the game. But now I need to win this game against the Chinese.
You were willing to scar me for life over a kickball game?
But that's how good of an opponent you were. But this game is bigger than you and me, Huey. I present the Woodcrest Harmonious Kickball Team. First, courtesy of Blackwater, USA. The senior squad.
Mercenaries?
They prefer the term private kickball contractors.
And this is the junior squad.
They're the best the Dominican Republic has to offer. As you can see, I've spared no expense for victory.
Yeah!
It's the greatest junior senior kickball team ever assembled. Tell me you don't want to be part of kickball history.
I don't want to be a part of kickball history.
I'm not making a request. I'm prepared to blackmail you with a picture of you wearing Kanye West Venetian sunglasses, nut hugger jeans, and Louis Vuitton driving shoes.
That's Photoshop.
Explain that to media takeout.
I'll risk it.
All right, Huey. I'm not a fan of the truth, but here it is. The Chinese are calling in some debts, and I had to bet everything on this game. My banks, your home, everything. You think I'm bad? Just wait till the Chinese take away all the freedoms you enjoy. Freedom to complain. Freedom to have as many offspring and assault rifles as you like. The freedom to surf the internet for pornography of your choice.
Not the point.
I'll risk it.
No yacht for you.
What the heck?
Every line is a hit of truth. When I was a kid and I realized that, like, and this is no disrespect to gay people, but that half of the gangster rappers in the industry were all gay was because of this show.
What year? Because that's what Candace Owens is convinced of.
Oh yeah, this show started in 2003, 2004.
And that's when you saw that?
No. I was a little bit
like
older
the episode
when I
of
started
that.
watching this.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, and I'm just like, that's what they say about obviously Diddy. His
Did you catch the
history.
Blackwater thing?
Yeah. They say that about Candace Owens brought up a video about Tupac. He was in a video, like in an interview, and he was basically just talking about how he had to quit his job or he got fired because he had an interview. And let me see if I find it, but he was just really like flamboyant and very like.
There's
and my brother and I had a conversation
with the gold. You seen that picture of Tupac? Of Tupac in the bathtub with the gold covering his private area. It was very, very not gangster rapper. It was not.
Candace Owens says it all the time.
Yeah.
It was also
You
in the
knew.
80s.
Yeah.
But she's like his mannerism. I mean, I agreed with her. His
Yeah.
mannerisms, the way he was talking. I think this is it actually. Let me see if I can I think this is it. And so I had this conversation with my brother who's a big hip hop head, just like me. Like I kind of not got it from him, but we kind of enjoy the same
You guys grew
music.
up
If
in
you
the
Yeah,
New
if you
York.
ask
Yeah.
us like our top 3 rappers, like we'll probably have 1 or 2 the same. Definitely for sure Nas would be one of his favorites as well as
I
mine.
love Nas. Yeah.
And then but check this out. Let me I think this might be it. So my brother was like, "Nah, he was a young kid. There's no way. Like he doesn't seem like he's acting like he's flamboyant." But this is it right here.
I has suits that hair.
Shakur, and I attend Tamalpais High School, and I'm 17 years old.
Do you like being 17?
And it's like 17 is such a weird age. It's such a in the middle age. You're not 18 yet. You're older than 16. So. But I like it. It's nice. It's like a learning stage for me.
This
Okay,
wasn't
my name is
it. That
Tupac
wasn't it.
Shakur.
It might be this one. Hold on.
I have this much respect for women, and I get a lot of friends because I have respect for women, ultra respect for women. But then, like I was liking this girl in town, and I'm extra nice, extra gentleman. I'm extra just
This
like,
is not it
you're
either.
beautiful, and you deserve the best.
It's so polarizing though, hearing him talk like this, and in the background, all I'm hearing is, first off, fuck yo bitch, saying the click you claim, and I'm just like, is this the same guy?
Right. I'm trying to like.
That was the ultimate stab in the
Let me
back.
see.
Yeah, you're gonna love this movie. It's like one of those.
Yeah, no, that's not. I can't find it. But he was very like. I wish I could find it.
Look
Maybe
up
I'll
the
find it with
picture
the
of him
Candace
in the.
Owens.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a video I seen a long time ago where they talked about this too. If I find it, I'll send it to you. Maybe that'll help. They can't play that
These
song unless he's so soft spoken at the same time.
these conspiracies that these cartoons put out, I don't think they're conspiracies. I think that they know because they're part of that world.
Yeah. I
I found it. Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the volume's on. Can you hear it?
I stand by my statement that gangster rap was intentionally encouraged, and then they found some people that were just straight up actors to play this role of a gangster. And one of those people is obviously Tupac. So let's just watch this footage. You may forget this. Tupac was an actor, and I'm pretty sure he was not a heterosexual actor either on the basis of this clip. Take a listen.
I'm most like my mom because I'm arrogant, totally arrogant. I agree. I have to say it. Like at work, I can't hold a job. I just quit my job today, actually, because I wanted to come and do this. And they wouldn't let me. And I felt like it was important, and it was more important than serving pizza. And we had enough people. So I felt like since I'm an actor, they should understand. They should have let me do it. But they didn't. And then I had a cold. So they were making me work in a freezer. And I'm really not one to be disrespected. And I felt like that was disrespectful because I asked to go, So I quit. And he told me I couldn't quit. And that even made me hyper. I'm arrogant. So when he told me I couldn't quit and we had all these customers, I chose that time to jump on a soapbox, grab my leather jacket, light a cigarette in front of him, smoke, and leave in the middle of a rush. So that was natural. That's arrogance at the top. That's, I think, I'm most like my mother. And she likes it. She'll see it in me and know it. And we clash a lot because I'm arrogant, she's arrogant. And you should see us when we get in our little attitude moves.
I see what she's saying there, but I can also see where he's like 17 and was his dad in his life? Was he raised by his dad? Do we know? Because I can see there's a lot of boys that when they're raised by their moms that they talk like very, not saying that it couldn't be true. I wouldn't know either way. But based off that clip, he just seemed like a kid. Like he thought he ate. He didn't eat. Talking about, I smoked my cigarette in front of them and I left. Like, okay. You're muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
It says For the majority of his life, he was actually unsure of who his biological father was. His stepfather, Dr. Mutulu Shakur, got acquainted with his biological father, Billy Garden, only after he became an adult. So he did very little to raise him. So, and saw him a couple times when he was 5.
Stepfather. I wonder how long he.
They-
that
well-
was just curious of that. If he was like raised by just his mom, that was my.
So yeah, my brother, shout out Jay, love you. He's like, nah, like you can't compare a 17-year-old kid to the gangster rap that he's rapping about as an adult. And I'm like, you can't, but you also can, because some kids, I don't know, it's just like he represents the West Coast hard, like West Coast for life, right? But he was like from Maryland, and then he moved to
I thought he was
the
from
West.
New York.
He probably was. He went to school. Where was Tupac from? I thought he was from Compton. Oh, he is East Harlem, but Tupac,
Yes,
also known as Machiavelli, was an American rapper. He regarded. Let me see. So he was born in New York City to parents who were both political activists for the and Black Panther Party member. Oh, they were also Black Panther Party members. But I feel like I'm saying 84. He relocated to Baltimore in 84. And he was born in 71. So he's about 14 years old. Okay, so I guess yeah, he's from New York. Right, 71 to 84. Then he became a central figure in the West Coast hip hop industry for his conscious rap and political views. So he moved to Baltimore when he was about 15. And then
I was gonna say I definitely don't hear that Baltimore accent. He sounds like a New York kid, but yeah.
Then he moved to California in 88.
Okay.
And when he died in 96, which was 8 years. So he had only been living in California for 8 years before he started, he was representing the West Coast. So that always kind of threw me off a little bit. But
He's
one
an
of the
actor, and not to mention he's a Gemini. Geminis, they're very two-faced. I'm sorry. But you
Yeah.
know who also, do you remember Professor Griff?
No.
Where's he from? Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna tell you exactly where he's from. But he actually, this was years ago. I think I was in high school. He talked about how I think that Tupac did end up taking that oath of, I don't even know what to call it, the gay oath. I don't know what to call it. But I think it was later on. I think it might have even been when he went to California, because what California is. And Professor Griff talked about that. He's from
yes,
what
he's
group is he
from
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
Yeah. He talked about this a lot. Yeah. He talked a lot about the that's where
Like
I when I saw Tupac in the bathtub, the picture of him in the bathtub with the gold chains all over him.
You're like, damn it, Hollywood got him.
Yeah, that's what Professor Griff was saying. He's like, he definitely was a part of this agenda. Like he fell victim to this ritual. But I think it was once he was in the industry. I don't think it, and this just goes into my other, what you just read about how he moved to California for his more political rap, because his family was a part of
the
the
Bay
Black Panther
Area.
movement. Yeah, for me, I feel like that's just another, what's the word, piece of evidence of that, because I feel like these people are racist and they do weird stuff to Black men.
Humiliation rituals.
Yeah, I think that's 100% what it is.
Cat Williams talks about it all the time.
Yeah, and the bigger you are, I mean, like his family, imagine how that must, like, who his family was. They were members of the Black Panther group. So it's like, you are a big ritual that we need to do, in my head, if that makes sense.
No, definitely, because we're conspiracy theorists.
Period.
All right. Well, we've hit the 124 mark. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really into the news this week, but it was pretty much because I was sick. I wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
I did see one thing that I thought was entertaining. Wasn't it didn't consume my brain like that, like most things do. But it was I saw somewhere that the Democrats wanted to probe Donald Trump for insider trading after the market hit pretty much it didn't crash, but it for some people it felt like it crashed. And it was in the middle of the tariff war with China and other countries. And he put essentially what's a tweet, but on his social media platform, which is called Truth, which I have, by the way. He just put a tweet out there, Truth, that said it's a good time to buy. But it wasn't insider trading. He told the millions of people that follow him. And it was because most people know that the market will recover. It always does. So I don't think he was just like telling the way the article read was like, oh, he's telling his cronies and his boys like bye, like through a tweet. And I think that's just so stupid because everybody knows that Nancy Pelosi was a part of insider trading for many, many years. Hence her net worth is, I think, $240 million. And I thought it was a double standard for me. I just laughed about it. I'm like, how is it insider trading when he actually put it on a tweet for the whole world to see?
Yeah. There's a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realize how so many people like, I'm not saying that it's right. Like, if a lot of people are running red lights, you shouldn't also be running a red light either. But like, there's a lot of people, even no name people, whatever people that do this. Like, I mean, I don't know the fine line of what is considered insider trading to be specific, but it's just like, I don't see, he didn't say put this much in at this exact time on this date, because I
So
don't think
picture like this, like Nancy Pelosi,
yeah.
right? I'm sorry to cut you off. Nancy
No.
Pelosi is part of the decision making of what goes into law, like the new Green Deal, like things that have to do with
Yes.
environmental. And if she's implementing the law before the law is implemented, right? She's gonna I remember when I read an article when she had invested millions of dollars into Nvidia. And I'm like, man, I should get a couple call options to expire for the at the end of the year. This was last year. And I'm like, I should get a couple call options and just see what she's
See
doing.
what
I mean,
happens.
the fact that she is investing millions, guess what? Within 6 months, Nvidia hit its highest. It took off and she made millions. Times the millions. So it's like, if you're part of the decision making that can influence
Manipulate,
laws,
yeah.
like going EV everything, and you're like, oh, well, there's this stock for EV, whatever. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Like, I'm about to put this type of thing into law, so I'm gonna start buying,
Right.
into like the battery that makes this thing or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're saying that, so they're accusing him of doing that, letting his homies know, hey, it's time to buy now because the market's going to come back. So what happened was the next day, the market hit a 16-year high. I just feel like Democrats and liberals just can't be happy. Nothing makes them happy. If the market goes down, they're mad about it. If the market goes up, they're talking junk about it. So the response to that was, oh, he let his people know. Everybody made money because of that tweet. And it's like, the next day, his press secretary came out and said that 75 different countries reached out to him to talk about the tariffs. So he wants a fair trade. And now people are like, okay, he's not messing around. Let's talk about fair trade. 75 countries called him. Of course, that's going to move the market. So I just think it's a double standard. And it's entertaining, but it's also at the same time annoying. That was my story.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, people are just, everybody's gonna be mad at something. You can't please everybody at this point, especially when you're at such a level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do want to look into the two-party system more, because I think that you hit spot on with that.
It's
So,
crazy. Do you want
yes.
to do our question of the week and sign off after that?
Yes, we can do that. Let me pull it up here. It looks so cute. I love that font.
Thank you.
It's like a little baby wrote it, like a lefty.
It's cute.
All right. So go ahead. You can read it and then I can answer first since you did the highs and lows first.
Yeah, you got it. In a world that feels so divided, how can we start having more open and respectful conversations? That face says it all.
Well, it's similar to last week's question or last pod's question.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think there's some people you can have the conversation with, and there's some people that you shouldn't have the conversation with.
Yeah.
For example, sometimes I use Facebook as a like when I see stupidity or things that I believe are stupid, I will make a status about it and like I'll talk about people's TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, whatever. I'll write a status just to kind of like clickbait, you know, like let's see who's gonna talk back, whatever. When it does get crazy, you just gotta end it, right? But I will say this. I have gotten more people. I shouldn't even say more people. I have had people who hate Trump or hate that I voted for Trump or hate the Republican, the conservative, that side, that crazy side.
Yeah.
Don't even ask me why, when, where. They don't even care why. They just associate me as a bigot, as a racist, as all the above, which is whatever. But I've had people who are not pleased with me for that, who have unfollowed me, who have blocked me, who have insulted me. Yet, I've never blocked anybody online for having opposing views as me. That could be a personal thing. It could be I can't sit here and say that all Republicans are the same way as me or all conservatives are the same, like everybody that voted for Trump is the same. I can't say that. But I will say some people just can't have the conversation. And if you're able to identify that, just dead it there. Because like I said, I've had people, maybe more than 5, definitely more than 5, have unfriended me or blocked me on Facebook just because of my opposing views. I've never insulted anybody. I've never called them out of their name. I have generalized and said lefty loonies, but it was always a retaliation because
Yeah, a
it doesn't have
response.
a response. Yeah, it doesn't always have to come back to insults. So it's like, all right, this is what you're doing, so I'm gonna meet you where you are. I don't know how we can start. I know how to end.
Well, maybe I know how to start. Maybe I think go and maybe this is too much for people who are like chronically online, who are online a little too much, because this is going to take a lot of energy. But try to put yourself in other people's shoes, because something that I feel like I've learned is everybody's opinions and thoughts, ideas, they all come from it's like a very complex formula of every single thing that they've been through in their life and every single thing that they've consumed over time. And, as one person, obviously we're not going to be able to 100% put ourselves in other people's shoes, but I feel like in that moment, when they're giving you an opposing view or even something that's super controversial, something that you will never ever agree with, I think the first place to start is to be like, and this just sounds so weird, but in my head, I'm like, okay, this is somebody's baby who has come to this opinion for some reason or another, And I think that's why it's so hard for me to be online too much, because I do that a lot now. I feel like I look at people a lot more human now, and we all have faults and flaws, and none of us know the truth about anything. Like I said before, we're all kind of trying to figure out this thing called life on this floating rock in the
Just trying
middle
to
of a
navigate.
black abyss. Yes, like we're all just kind of like the that saying, like, instead of looking at each other as Americans, Germans, whatever, every other race, if we all started with looking at each other as earthlings, like we all live on this planet, I feel like that's that. Not to go off on a tangent, but that kind of helps me make people a little more human, even in the most polarizing view that they have. You know what I mean? I think that's why we spoke, and I said in the first episode of the pod we were going to talk about it one day. But I even that's why my viewpoint, especially with going into the mind control and how our system is designed, I think that's why I have you know my eyes are a little more soft looking at people like, okay, your intentions cannot all be bad. Something has happened. Like
Mhm.
something is off. Something has triggered you, something has altered your brain chemistry, something has happened, because that's what happened to all of us at some
Right.
point or another. So that's kind of like my way to be a little more open and respectful in conversations, is I just try to keep in mind that none of us know. We're all infants and compared to how long this planet has been here. So I can't be mad.
We're just all trying to navigate through life, man. That's all we're trying to
Yes.
do
We're
with all the
literally
tools that we
all,
have.
yeah, and trying to share our tools, because some of us don't have the tools that other people have, you know? I feel like if everybody kind of start like, and it's hard because when, like I said, if you're chronically online, it's emotionally taxing to think like that every single time that you're talking to somebody. um we're in a time that's so weird. Like, I don't think it's normal that we should be knowing what's going on every split second of the day, what's happening across the earth. I don't think it's good for us, and I
Yeah.
don't think that we should be talking to so many different people at such a short amount of time, at a given notice, because it's not like how it was even back in the day. When you got your newspaper, you knew what was going on in the world, or when you got on the
Mhm.
computer, that was the only time you ever connected with somebody from, overseas. It's literally in our pocket every single second of every single day, and I don't think it's good
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
I don't it can't, I mean, it can't be, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, it was a great pod. I'm actually very impressed that we didn't go above 2 hours.
Yay. Sorry, everybody. It's my tangents.
You know what? I love long form podcasts. I know people
I
that
do
don't.
too.
Some people that I
Yeah.
know are like, I just want a quick little 30-minute. Me, I if the longer the better.
Yeah.
Like, I'll put my phone on in the shower, like listen to I'm actually watching a Joe Rogan one now, but it's 2 hours and like 40 minutes. Love it because you get
Yeah.
to, like, you can, if I'm driving to work, I can put it on. I really rarely listen to music anymore.
Yeah.
I do, but not like I used to. And
Yeah. Which, if you
so
guys don't know her, that's like the weirdest statement to hear.
I
But
know
continue.
it is a little weird, right?
You got the music notes on you and everything. It's just that's so strange. But I
Music
love it.
has
It's this is how this is what your experience has grown you into. I love it.
Yeah, music has always been a huge part of my life. Like, music was always therapy, music was always art, music
Yeah.
just a huge, just love music. But as I've gotten older, I guess I've kind of realized how certain music is not healthy for your spirit.
Uh-huh.
And I've just kind of like tapped into, I remember having a friend who used to tell me, I don't ever listen to music. I just listen to podcasts. I'm like, in the car? She's like, yeah, like on my way to work. I'm like, that's so boring. This was only probably like 4 years ago, by the way. And
Yeah.
now it's all I listen to. It's like podcasts, different points of views. The one that I'm watching now is entertaining because Dave Smith is on it, and I love Dave Smith. And
Yeah.
there's another guy on there who I'm 45 minutes in, and this gentleman, his name is, I'm not even gonna mention his name, but I'm 45 minutes in, and all he's doing is talking shit essentially about people who are not historian experts giving their opinion on history. And Dave and Joe are kind of like, hey, you don't have to be an expert to talk about this. And he's kind
Mm-mm.
of like giving Dave some shit, like, you're a comedian, like, why are you talking about politics? He's like, because I'm a citizen and I'm a voter.
That's
So
so
it's
rude.
so he's specifically talking about two guys that Dave Smith and Joe Rogan have given a platform to, saying that they shouldn't be speaking about politics or the war in Israel or Jews because they're not experts. And my comment that I put, I said, thank you to this guest. I am now following Ian Carroll and Dave Cooper. Because it's like you're shooting these guys down just for, and Dave Smith had a valid point. Dave Smith was like, listen, I'm not an expert in science and what do you call that, like vaccines, there's a term for that, epidemiology.
I believe so. I'm not.
I don't
I'm
know.
not an expert.
Yeah, so he's like, I'm not an expert, but I have common fucking sense. So when I was talking
Yeah.
about the COVID vaccine, you're telling me that I shouldn't talk about it because I'm not an expert. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. So for the first 45 minutes, that's all this guy is doing, is backpedaling and just blaming Ian Carroll for something, which, by the way, Ian Carroll, I never followed him, didn't know who he was. He was on Candace's show last week, and he's gonna take over her show when she's on maternity leave 3 times a week. So
Oh,
I'm very interested in like getting to know his content because she loves him, and Candace owns, she doesn't follow like the bullshit pages. And so I put in the comment, I said, thank you, sir. And I'm following Ian Carroll and Cooper. And I think his name is Dave Cooper. I'm not sure. But like just blasting these guys just for having an opinion on something. He considers himself an
that's so
expert and a
wrong.
historian. It's like, are you mad that I think what he's trying to do is try to create an online beef so he can get more attention. But it's
Oh
not
yeah,
working for him. It's not working for him.
yeah,
Like my comment, a bunch of people liked it. A bunch of people commented on it. People were like, no, this is not how you get clout, by putting other people down.
yeah.
So, but interesting pod. I want to do more research on a bunch of things. I am gonna watch the Two Party doc
Oh, the
on this
politics
page.
unveiled. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's
I
good.
feel like I probably seen it before. If
I've
you sent it
sent
to
it
me,
to you.
then I
Yeah,
definitely saw it. But I want to watch it again, and I kind of want to tap into that. But as
yeah, for
always,
sure.
it's a pleasure, pleasure, pleasure.
Yes, it was great. I thank you guys for watching again. I'm not sure what episode we're even on at this point, but thank you for
It might be
watching.
4.
I think so. I think this is
Let me see. It might be 4 because the last yep, it is 4. The last one
it is
was
okay.
what happens in the group chat doesn't stay in the group chat. That's what I titled it.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And that was well, we didn't record last week. That was 13 days ago.
Okay, so yeah,
So,
yeah. Oh, look at us, right at the 2-week mark there.
all right, cool. So, Moxie, I love you. Always a pleasure.
Love you
And
too.
we'll do this again.
Yes, it sounds good. Thank you, everybody, again. And comment
Thank you
your
guys.
answer to the question down below.
Yes, do that. We're gonna put it up again. It did not go up, but right here. Why? Oh, I blocked it off. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see how people deal with it because it's hard.
It's very hard, especially online. But yeah, thank you guys
Yes.
again.
Later.
Bye.